Don't really need a reason to star you, that's all you. Don't pretend I got a reason to call you, it's not true. I only got a couple people to talk to, and it's not you. Yeah. And I don't even got the patience to argue, so are you out of your mind? I got a lot of reasons to fight, I got a lot of reasons to drive over you, but I put my pride to the side. I put my never stop. Had to take a turn and turn it into something that's new. Say you miss me, wasn't missing is a cock in the you. Wait and see, cause it's something new and improved. Yeah, yeah. Keep checking these chickens. Yeah, and I go speed racing for the record. Yeah, and I achieve greatness, getting better by the second. Yeah, and I go speed racing. We ain't finished just yet. Don't stress it, baby. I keep creeping. I speed demon. So keep dreaming. I can't see him. A speed demon. Yeah, they try to say I'm out of my mind, but now they're singing every line. Got a lot of mountains to climb. Had to leave some baggage behind. And there's something that's wrong with me that's paving me a new lane and giving me an energy. And there's something in the way she made me certain I'm enough every day. She put the loving on me. And all the people that be doubting on me, they gave me witness my redemption. Now they up on my seat, got them tapping their feet. Had to put my heart on my sleeve. Yeah, keep checking these chickens. Yeah, and I go speed racing for the record. Yeah, and I achieve greatness, getting better by the second.
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Tuesday night. Hopefully you guys were able to gather some wins in your fantasy football leagues there in week 10. Now, as always, tonight's stream, it is dedicated to week 11, a Q&A, AMA, whatever you want to call it. What we're doing is answering those start sit, the waiver, the trade questions, or just whatever questions you have for me here this evening. As always, just a reminder, if you come into the stream at any point in time, you don't want to wait for me to catch up. I am going to try and get to everybody in chronological order, but if you want to skip the line, the best way to do that is going to be by Super Chat. And as always, if you guys do want to go in and support the stream a little bit more, hit the like button, but use promo code LeagueFFB. Now, LeagueFFB is the promo code over on Underdog for new customers. New customers who play $5 using that promo code get $100 in bonus funds, and that can help you get started at winning over there on Underdog. Like I said, hopefully you're winning in your fantasy football leagues as well, but it's good to win everywhere, and you can do that with promo code LeagueFFB on Underdog. Now, I appreciate everybody who is here early. Frank, Trap, Rob, Jeff, Insidious, Logan, Jag, Corey, everybody, appreciate you. And shout out to Trap because he said he was first in the stream tonight. So I verified it. I saw it. Let's go, man. But look, let's start answering these questions. I got the ones queued up from pre-stream, and then we'll get into the ones that have come in already as part of the stream. But let's not waste any time, man. First question that I got here is from Rob. Rob says, the guy that I co-commish with wants to do a redraft in our Dynasty League every 5 years. I hate the idea. How do I convince him for us not to do that? It kind of sounds a little bit like an Empire League. Now, an Empire League is a league where if somebody ever goes back to back as the champion, sometimes people say you have to three-peat, then the league will reset. Now, that's kind of what they want to do. Every 5 years feels ridiculous. It just feels like you're playing a modified redraft league. I would just tell them no. If you're the commissioner, I would say, hey, look, I don't really want to do that. You can maybe put it to a vote. You make a case for why you don't want it. He can make a case for why you want it. And if you don't get a majority, which to me would be like, if it's a 10-man league, you need at least 7. If it's a 12-man league, I need at least 10 votes or 9 votes to get us a majority and do it that way. So that's probably what I would do. I agree with you, though. I think that's a stupid idea. I'm not really a big fan of that one. Let's go to Frank. Frank says, redraft. Which quarterback would you trade away? Nix, JJM, or Darnold? The guy that I want, or this guy wants one of these QBs, and I need a running back. He has Jacobs, Judkins, and Monty. I was thinking of Nix or Darnold and Addison for Jacobs and Trey Tucker, because I have Jettas, Marvin Harrison Jr., AJB, Addison, Dobbs, and Reed. My running backs are Harvey. Okay, is it fair? So basically you're asking me, is Nix and Darnold and Addison, or it's Nix or Darnold and Addison for Jacobs. Okay, I think I would rather trade Darnold and Addison if I had to choose between Nix and Darnold. So it's going to be Darnold and Addison. Would I do it for Jacobs and Trey Tucker? You have an argument if he needs to give up the running back. I would prefer the Jacobs side. So if that is what is going on for you, then yes, I would take the Josh Jacobs side. You may have to throw in a little bit more as well. If you have to go to Nix, that's fine. I think you're fine to go Nix plus Addison for Jacobs and go from there. So I think either way is fine. But I would start with Darnold, try and go to, who was the other guy? I would start with Darnold and try and go to Nix. Trap says, since last Q&A, I traded Caleb Williams and Achane for Herbert, Chase Brown, and a 27 early to mid first. That's pretty nice. I like that a lot. I think Caleb Williams and Herbert, very similar assets. So you're taking Achane for Chase Brown and a 27 mid first. I think that's savvy, especially if you don't need the running back help right now. That early 27 first is going to be insane. What do we got here? Should I drop Jordan Mason for Spears or Kareem Hunt? I would rather have Jordan Mason, I think, than those two guys. And then Jeff says, I need one wide receiver, Troy Franklin or Tez Johnson. Number one wide receiver is Puka. I would go with Troy Franklin over Tez, I think, this week. Let me double check my rankings. I always make my rankings on Tuesdays, so the first live stream of the week, I always have to reference these a lot more than I do later in the week as I get more comfortable with them. I have Tez Johnson one spot over Troy Franklin, so I guess I'm going with Tez Johnson right now by one total spot. The matchup is just a little bit better for Tez, actually. Insidious, my guy, what's up, man, says, made 3 trades in a league. In total, I traded away DK, Achane, Saquon, Smitty, Rome, BTJ, and Genty. In return, I got Bijan, Jacobs, CD, Jamar, and Bucky. This was before Achane's crazy game. What are your thoughts? It's an 8-team league. 8-team league, I'm going to look at superstars. I need the most superstars possible. Bijan is one of those superstars. CD, Jamar, superstars. Jacobs and Bucky, I like it. Guys like Smitty and DK and BTJ are not going to be difference makers in an 8-man league. They're difference makers in 10-man and 12-man leagues, more so 12-man leagues. But in an 8-man, I want the superstars. I like what you get here. That's a pretty good bucket of moves that you had on that side. But let's get into all the questions that came in as the stream started. Logan says, what's up, Andrew? Would you trade Jamar for May straight up? I would be interested in it. I think if you're in a dynasty league, I'm assuming this is a dynasty league, maybe not. If it is a dynasty league, I'm definitely interested in May, especially in Superflex formats. I think that's about where the cost is with May. It may be a buy high moment right now on Drake May, but that's not necessarily a bad thing with him. Jag says, I was able to pick up Burrow yesterday and add him to my IR. That's very savvy. He says it's a 10-team keeper league, 4 keepers count, and first 4 picks of the draft. Would you trade Tet and a first for Javonte? I don't think I would. I think I would rather have Tet and a first. I think I'd rather have Tet and a first. It's tough to tell. That's a tough one. Corey says, start 2, full PPR, Diggs, Keenan, or Juwan Jennings. I feel like Allen has been trending down and Jennings up. Allen has been trending down a little bit. He was touchdown dependent to start the year. I don't think a lot of people noticed that, but he was very touchdown dependent. That's why those big games were following. When I'm looking at these guys right now in my rankings, I do have Keenan Allen as my wide receiver 39. I have Diggs as my wide receiver 13. Juwan Johnson is my, or not Juwan Jennings is my wide receiver. Where is Juwan Jennings? Juwan Jennings. Wide receiver 23. So I have Jennings over Keenan, and I would play Diggs as well. So give me Diggs and Jennings. Jay Keys says, what are you doing with Fields in Dynasty? I think he's a player that I'm selling, man. I know you're probably not going to be able to get too much for Justin Fields at this point in time. If it's a super flex league, I'm still trying to grab a second, an early second of that. If I can get an early second, I'm more than happy to make that move at this point in time. I think the 26th class is still going to have some players that we definitely want in the early second round pick, and I think longevity-wise, they're probably going to be better bets for value insulation than a guy like Justin Fields is going to be. So I probably am willing to do that. If you're in the right league, maybe a quarterback needy team, you can get a second and a third potentially, but I think we're out of first round pick territory with Justin Fields. I'm just trying to get out before I think the bottom falls out, because in my opinion, and there's, I can't really tell you data to back it up for the most part, but in my opinion, this just feels like to me that this is going to be Justin Fields' final last opportunity as a starting quarterback. I can't foresee another team taking a shot on him as their starter after he's not done it in Chicago, not done it in Pittsburgh, and not done it in New York. So I think he's probably likely out of chances here in the NFL as a starter. Ken says, would you play JCM at Miami with Rodriguez injured or Tedero McMillan at Atlanta? I would much rather play T-Mac, I think. JCM is not somebody I have any comfortability in playing at this point in time. I know right now, we do have the Miami matchup, which has been very nice. I don't think it's fully confirmed at this point in time that Rodriguez is going to miss this game, unless I missed that news today. I don't think he's been ruled out. So until that, I think it's still going to be a committee. And even if Rodriguez is not playing, I do believe Jeremy McNichols is going to be involved anyways. So just give me T-Mac, man. I know it's a tough matchup against Atlanta, but at least I know the guy's going to be on the football field the entire game, and I know that there's some upside with him to catch a couple of, footballs that come his way, maybe a touchdown. So that's what I'm doing. Jeremy says, what's going on, Drew? What's going on, Jeremy? Kyle Williams shows some life finally. I traded away Breece Hall for Emeka Egbuka, Trey Benson, a 26nd and third pick. That is insane that you were able to trade Breece Hall for Egbuka plus. It should be Breece plus for Egbuka in my opinion. So it's insane that you were able to do that. Congratulations, because you won that trade by a country mile. Let's see. Contender PPR League was offered Gadsden, Golden, Pollard, a 26-101. We know it's going to be the 101. I mean, you probably have a good hunch at this point in time, but 26-101 for Amarion, Scadaboo in a mid-second. I'm trying to work him down to Travion instead of Amarion. What are your thoughts on this? I think for me, I'm thinking about 101, and in 2026, the 101 to me feels like Jeremiah Love right now. He feels like the safest pick and probably the highest upside pick at the point in time. I think he's probably going to be a first-round wide running back pick when it's all said and done, and that would be the similar bet of Amarion Hampton. So I like Jeremiah Love. I like Jordan Tyson right now. Those are the two players that I think are either 101 and 102 in my rookie rankings today. Obviously, a lot of stuff still to come, but if it were me, I'm going to go with the Amarion side. I want Amarion. I want Scadaboo. I want the mid-second round pick. If you can move him down to Travion, maybe better, but I still prefer that side. Here's the thing. When I'm looking at a deal like this, as a contender, Gadsden is not a player that I'm selling the farm for. I love what Gadsden has done, and he's been a value based off of where we wanted to pick him and where we talked about adding him on your fantasy football teams back in April and May. I'm not paying up for him these days. I'm more so looking to pivot and sell and capitalize on the profit of Gadsden. Golden, I don't love as a player. Pollard is a player that's depreciating. The only asset really here that I want is the 101, so I would rather just have Gadsden, Golden, and Pollard merged into one asset that's way better to get off of my Amarion Scadaboo. So that's probably what I need to do, is I need to package all of that together. As a contender, I don't want your 4 quarters for my dollar. I want to get the dollar for my 4 quarters. That's what I'm trying to do as a contender. I'm trying to consolidate. I don't want to, diversify the portfolio as a contender. Insidious says, who's going to do better this week, Puka or JSN? Right now in my rankings, I have JSN one spot over Puka. I got JSN as my wide receiver 3, Puka as my wide receiver 4. That's full point PPR. So I got JSN, man. Any word on Gadsden missing games? I haven't heard anything yet. It still been a little bit in the dark. Only injury news that I've got today. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't super tapped in today on injury news. Let's just be real. Your boy was playing a lot of Arc Raiders this afternoon with the free time that I had. So, look, that's what I was doing today. I'm looking at the injury news. The only thing that I saw really was the Travis Hunter stuff come across my feed. Other than that, though, not much on Gadsden that I've seen. Andrew, my buddy that I commissioned with wants to add 2 people to our Dynasty League. I think it's unfair to the managers who have built their teams just to have it stripped because 2 people want to join. What are your thoughts? Yeah, it's tough to do an expansion. And I could give you ideas to how to do an expansion, but it's not ideal. It's really not ideal to add people to a fantasy football league after you've already done the draft. If you've been building for a couple of years, here's one idea, maybe happy medium ground for you guys, but you could do an expansion draft. So what you would get to do really is each team would maybe get to pick 1 player or 2 players, maybe 3 players if you really want to get to it. Anything more than that, you're keeping too many. But you could keep two-ish players maybe, lock them onto the rosters that already have them, and then everybody else gets put into a player pool to redraft. That would be the happy medium. I'm not saying that's what I would do. I would just keep it, how it is. I wouldn't be adding extra people to my league. Or you just start a new league with the 2 people that want to join and all of the people that are in there. That's probably the other solution. But you could do an expansion draft where everybody gets to keep 2 players or 3 players or whatever you decide as your league. But I think the most logical thing to do would be start another league with everybody who wants to play in that new one. What's up, Fantasy? Rob says, do I drop Bill and pick up Burrow? My only running backs are Kyle, David Montgomery, Bill, Bucky. Keeper league, I have Lamar and Allen already. 40 chess move. You have Lamar and Allen, dude. I'm not really trying to add more. I have no issue with dropping Bill. If you want to do it and play the 40 chess, fine. I just don't see a need for you to have him, but it makes sense if you're thinking of like next year's keepers, then that makes sense. Insidious says the team's now Mahomes, Bijan, Jacobs, CD, Jamar, McBride, Henderson, Marv, with Hampton and Bucky when they're healthy. I like that, man. Jeremy says, what is the value of Devontae Adams in Dynasty? He's still a player that I think to the right team, if you're selling him to a contending roster, you can ask, without being disrespectful, you can ask for a late first-round pick and say, hey, you're a contending roster. Adams might put you over the top to win this championship. Give me that 111. Give me that 112. Give me whatever that is, that late first in 2026. It's a weak class, quote unquote. Use the narrative and try and do that. If you can't do it, I'm okay settling for an early second, 201, 202, 203 range. Outside of that, you probably need some more. But late first, early second, that's right in the bucket, I think, where Adams is to the right buyer. Sold Dobbins for JCM, third running back, Dynasty half PPR. Dobbins is injured. They're talking about him going on IR. I don't hate it. I think Dobbins is the player I'd rather have today, but with the injury news, it could be anything. I'm quite rapidly losing faith on JCM as the potential running back for the Commanders as the new. I think they addressed that position in the offseason. Let's just say that. JCM ain't the guy for them. We've seen it. We've seen enough. And 7th round pick, if you added him late in the spring, I know a lot of people, and I'm not trying to take no credit here, but people have told me they added JCM because I made a video about JCM way, way, way early on. And they're like, hey, I got JCM because of you. The sell window is past. There was a point in time about week 7, maybe week 6, where I was like, I think I'm just selling out on JCM now, collecting my profit where I can. If I'm a contending roster, I'll hold it. But I think JCM's a player that's probably only going to lose value from here on out. And that sounds crazy to say because he's a rookie, but I'm seeing this happen with JCM. It kind of spiked really crazy, and I'm out. I was offered a first round pick. It should be late first round pick. I would accept it. I would accept it. If you're not a contender and you need the draft capital, that's fair value. I would accept it. Trade deadline is this week. I currently have CMC, JT, and Jacobs. The rest of my running backs are nobodies. Do I trade to get another solid running back in case my running backs get hurt? This is Dynasty. I mean, the reality is you're probably only starting 2 running backs a week. So you have CMC and JT. Jacobs would be a guy you could flex. If somebody gets hurt, you're still starting 2 running backs. Depends on where your wide receivers are at with that league. But if this is the league you've talked to me a lot about, Rob, I'm remembering that it's an 8-man league. And you probably have some guys to fill in. So could you make a move for another solid running back? Sure. If you're going to do it, I would keep it cheap. Try and keep it somewhat cheap because I don't want to over push my chips into a running back position in a dynasty league, especially when the guys you have are CMC, Jacobs, and JT, who are all a little bit older. Probably not pushing my chips in too far. But I don't think you have to make the move. I don't think you do. What are your thoughts on a dispersal draft in a dynasty league? We've done a few of them. We've done a few of them in one of my leagues. We had, I think, one summer where we had 2 or 3 guys leave, and we just put all of their team's assets into one dispersal draft and found 3 new managers, and they just picked across the dispersal teams. So we've done it before. It works when you have multiple teams that leave. I say usually if you have the turnover, you got to look at it and figure out a way to keep everybody happy, but I have no issues with dispersals if done correctly. Dart, McCarthy, Hampton, Bucky, Hendo, Benson, Neighbors, BTJ, Warren, Loveland, and Gadsden. Reload for 26. Who should I buy? Thinking about Scat, Caleb Johnson, Keon Coleman, and Troy Franklin. I think you could get Caleb Johnson for cheap. Very, very cheap. And I don't mind throwing him in as a guy for potentially next year. Not a fan of buying Keon. I would say Scat is fine. I'm still somewhat worried about 2026, if we're being honest. And Troy Franklin, somebody that I think you could buy as well. So of those players, they're definitely players that I would be looking at. Or I guess the only players that I'd be looking at would be Caleb and Troy. Scat at the right price, we'll see. But other than that, I mean, really reloads, I'm looking at targeting players who are underperforming. I'm looking at buying injuries. And really it doesn't have to be the cheapest of players. I'm just looking to buy dips. So if there's a dip on, Jackson Dart because of the concussion and people talking about him not playing too well and Brian Dable being fired, buy the narrative. Get the dip on that. Get a dip on Jaden Daniels because of the elbow injury right now. Maybe get a dip on Joe Burrow. Right now is probably not a good time to do it because he just got told he's going to be playing later this year, hopefully. But you see what I'm saying? Like, buy dips on young injured players that have upside. Even if you're buying at 80% of the dollar or 90% of the price, you're still gaining a little bit of a 10% edge each time that you do that, which is going to help if you stack 4, 5, 6 of those trades over the course of a year together. Jag says, have you made any spicy trades this season? Let's see. I made one pretty crazy trade in a dynasty league where I was rebuilding a while back. It was a lot of pieces. Let's see. League trades. I've made a few. I usually do a video on the channel every year where I talk about like the trades that I made during that year, which is always very fun to do. I haven't made as many trades this year, but I traded away Keon Coleman for a 2nd and a 3rd in 2026. That's one that I've made recently. This is the big one that I made. This was made in October, the beginning of October. I traded away Kyler Murray, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cam Scattaboo, right before Scattaboo got hurt, right before Kyler Murray got benched, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Michael Pittman Jr. I received CeeDee Lamb, JJ McCarthy, a 1st-round pick, a 2nd-round pick, Josh Downs, Keon Coleman, and Mason Taylor, and then I flipped Keon Coleman because I didn't believe in him. I flipped him for the 2nd and the 3rd. So it was basically Kyler, Pittman, Amon-Ra, Ferguson, and Scattaboo for Lamb, Downs, McCarthy, 2 seconds, a first, a third, and Mason Taylor. That's like a retooling team that I made that deal. I viewed Kyler and JJ McCarthy as kind of lateral assets, and I viewed Lamb and Amon-Ra as lateral assets, and it allowed me to move off of guys like Ferguson, who I thought was overperforming, Pittman, who I thought was overperforming, and Scadaboo, who I just kind of sold high on, and I was able to get a bunch of young players and picks. So spicy, yeah. People in my league chat gave me a lot of shit for it, said they didn't like it, but it is what it is. I thought it's aged fairly well so far over the last couple of weeks. Frank says Darnold for Spears. I am down to take Darnold for Spears. Bruce City Bob says, brother, please, what do I do with AJ Brown? I don't want to sell him for chips, but I'm afraid he'll turn into a dead asset. Who should I look to acquire, or is a second reasonable? I still am not selling AJ Brown unless I'm absolutely getting a first round pick. I have to get a first round pick if I'm selling him. If you're looking to go laterally anywhere for AJ, let's talk about some of the younger players that could have some value insulation if you're trying to make a bet. The players that I would look at as potential players to make a bet would be probably... Could you bet on Travis Hunter and bet that Travis Hunter comes back next year and looks better? That would be a bet where you could see some value insulation. Can you bet on a Chris Olave where they go get a quarterback of the future next year? Can you bet on a George Pickens? Can you bet on a Brian Thomas Jr., buy a falling, Brian Thomas Jr. and see that the young guy gets some value insulation later? If you can't do any of that, would you be willing to bet on cross positionally, maybe a player like... could you bet on an RJ Harvey right now and see if RJ, takes off at the back half of the year? Could you bet on a Scadaboo if you want him to come back healthy? Could you bet on a Waddle, as the number one guy, a Travion Henderson maybe? Like, those would be what I would be trying to do. Hopefully that gives you enough ideas. Would you sell Warren for Laporta in a first? Always would be willing to move a tight end for another really good tight end and actually a first round pick. So yes, I would be willing to do that. Help me choose 4 wide receivers. Flex, super. It's a flex and a super flex. It's a 12-team dynasty super flex, full PPR, and tight end premium. 1 point. Okay, so I'm helping you choose 4 wide receivers, a flex, and a super flex. 1 point tight end premium, 1 passing first down. JSN, Chase, Lamb, London, Rice, Mahomes, Vidal. We could have left Vidal off of this list. It's going to be Rice, Lamb, Chase, JSN as your 4 wide receivers. Brother. I'm just trying to make sure I'm seeing this. So you need me to set 5 spots on the team. You gave me 6 players, and one of them's Vidal, and the other ones are all elite players. Bench Vidal. The fuck? I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, like, bro, start your studs. But yeah, Logan says bought Travis Hunter for 2 mid to late seconds and Jalen Warren as a rebuilding roster. W or L? I think it's a W. I'm not a big Travis Hunter guy, but it's hard to argue that type of value on him. I have Danny Jones on bye this week. Who should I stream? Stroud, Penix, Darnold, McCarthy, Tua, Mariota, Purdy if active. Also drop Hunt, BTJ, or Benson to pick up a QB. Standard league. I would drop, of the guys that we're dropping, it's going to be Hunt. I'm not dropping BTJ or Benson. If I am going to be starting one of those quarterbacks, for me, the highest in my rankings is... Mariota. Mariota is the highest in my rankings right now. So I'd be playing him. Do you think I should compete for a championship or add draft capital? My wide receiver room is Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, and Igbuka. I also have CMC. This is a championship team. I'm telling you right now, just looking at it. You have enough firepower. You should be going to push in the chips. Insidious says top 3 candies. Does that include chocolate? I feel like you got to categorize candies in like a couple different groups, because I think chocolates and then like hard/gummy type of candies are different. Like, I wouldn't categorize Skittles as the same type of candy as a Twix bar, but both of them are fire. So I think for me, like, I love a Twix bar. I love a Hershey's cookies and cream, and I like some Sour Patch watermelons. I like Skittles, the wild berry ones, a couple others, but yeah, those are kind of like my go-tos. I gave you 4, but that's 4. What about Tet, Hunter, and Fannin? But honestly, I don't know. Panthers, Jags, and Browns scare me. This is to go with the question of, would you buy them? Absolutely. I'd buy all of those players. The one I'd be the most comfortable buying is Tetero McMillan. The other ones I would buy at cost, but Tet, I'm the most confident in. Full PPR, flex DeMercado or Dobbs if healthy, or K9. I think Dobbs is the player that I would rather play. DeMercado is a interesting case, I think. AMJ says, every time I bench Vidal, he gets 40 based on league settings. I hear you. I mean, you said it's first, or it's 1 point for passing first downs. I don't know how Vidal's scoring 40 unless you have like something like a point per carry or something like that. But my only thing that I would say is, I know sometimes people get nervous about like, hey, I benched this guy last week and he scored 40. Don't make 2 mistakes because you made 1. That's my biggest advice, is don't make 2 mistakes because you made 1. If you benched a guy and he went off, whatever. Move on to the next week. Last week's doesn't matter. Next week is the only one that matters. So make sure you look at the matchups. For me, Vidal's the player that I'm not playing. Jennings, Smitty, and Higgins, you got to pick 2. I'm going with Smitty and Higgins. Jennings is going to be the guy that I put on the bench. What younger, injured, and low-value, high-ceiling players are looking to trade for before the trade deadline? Interesting question. I think right now a great buy low is Brock Purdy. There's been so bad press about Purdy this year. I think he's a great buy low. I also really like Pearsall as a buy low. Who else? Luther Burden would be somebody I would target to buy, because if they move off of DJ Moore this offseason, he's going to be very intriguing. Trey Benson I'd buy. Jaden Reed is a player that I would buy right now. I think there's a couple names right now that I just said. Those would be the guys that I'm looking at. Other than that, like Rome Odunze, there's probably a dip right now because of a couple bad weeks. I'd probably look at Rome. Bucky, I'd buy low on Bucky because people are scared of the injury, especially in a dynasty. In a redraft, not so much, but a dynasty for sure. Yeah, that's a good list of guys, I think. Or take Aaron Jones out of the flex and play all 3. I think I would play all 3. I would take Aaron Jones out. Chocolate counts, yeah. I would say Twix, wild berry Skittles, and the Hershey's cookies and cream. Full PPR, I need a flex. Derrick Henry, Woody Marks, Aaron Jones, or Tet. I'm playing Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, no problem, Jeremy. Would you drop Brian Thomas Jr. for Joe Burrow? Record is 9-1. I clinched a playoff spot today. If you need quarterback badly, yeah, I'd be down to do it if you need it. 9-1, you can wait too. Dude, they're my GOAT as an adult. Like, they are so good. What's Tootin and Caleb Johnson's value in Dynasty? Can you get them for a third? I think Caleb Johnson you can certainly get for a third. You might be able to make that happen. Tootin, I think, is probably valued a little bit higher than Caleb Johnson, but not by too much. But I think both could be got for a third, at least 2 thirds. You could throw 2 of them together and still get it. No problem, man. Disc says, I'm thinking of benching Bo Nix this week and playing JJ McCarthy. I also have Justin Jefferson, so it could be a big QB wide receiver stack, and Jefferson seems due for a big game. Could be. I'll tell you right now, though, the way that Bo Nix has been playing for fantasy, I kind of want to keep playing him. I mean, last week wasn't great against Las Vegas, obviously. But before that, it's been pretty solid. I'm not opposed to playing JJ McCarthy. I think Bo Nix might have the safer floor. But I have him back-to-back in my rankings. I have McCarthy and Nix right there next to each other. Because the matchup is very good for JJ McCarthy. Trade happened in my league 5 minutes ago. Side A gets Amon-Ra in a third. Side B gets DK 2 1s and a 2. What are your thoughts? If you're a contending team and the first are late, I like the Amon-Ra side. If you're anything other than, a contending team and those are late first, it's good value for Amon-Ra. I think I just want to lean the best player in the deal, so give me Amon-Ra, but yeah, it could be made either way. 500K or dinner with Drake? Bro, give me 500K. Fuck Drake. No, I'm just kidding. I love Drake, but give me 500K. I don't love Drake enough to pass up 500K. Bryce says, start 2. Henderson if Stevenson don't play, and Pickens or Henry. I mean, if Stevenson doesn't play, I gotta keep going with Henderson, man. It seems like the breakout is here, and don't let me even talk about week 12 and 13 being against Cincinnati and the Giants, who were dead last and second to last. So Henderson league winning season is right here. As the patient have been rewarded with. The people who were impatient, fuck y'all. Y'all don't get to get Travion Henderson points on your team anyways. So anyways, now that I've said all that and didn't answer any of your question, give me Henderson and give me Pickens. But if Stevenson plays, I might go Henry over Henderson. I got Vikings sweeping the Bears this season. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it for sure. Because fuck the Bears. Start Harvey or Marks this week once Dobbins is officially ruled out. Marks has Titans and Harvey has KC. There is no way, shape, or form that if Dobbins is out, I am benching Harvey for Woody. Never thought I would ever say a sentence like that in my life, but there is no way, shape, or form that if Dobbins is officially out, I am starting Marks over Harvey. So yeah, give me RJ Harvey there, man. Looking to make a trade for Barkley and Chase for Bijan and Harvey. I have Javonte as well. I don't mind it. Bijan and Chase are very equal assets for me. It's Barkley versus Harvey. I would rather have Barkley, I think, right now. But if Dobbins is out, you could have a really good back half of the season here for Harvey. Potential league winner, excuse me. But yeah, this is a fair deal. Fair deal. I want the Chase side, though. I want the Chase and Barkley side. Do you have an opinion on the Seahawks versus the Rams game this week? I think the Rams are going to win. In our Pick'em League, that's probably what I will select. But it should be a good game. Really competitive divisional game. Just feels like Matthew Stafford is playing at an MVP level right now. And I don't really think he's getting the love that he probably should be getting from the media. As far as like MVP numbers go. It's been a lot of MVP Drake May this, MVP Drake May that. And I love Drake May. I think Drake May's been balling. But Matthew Stafford's been balling too, and he's not getting the same love. Tips on how to make the playoffs for decades. I never want to be in the toilet bowl. Make good moves for a decade. Like that. Sometimes that's all it is. It's very simple, obviously, but like, it's going to be hard for you to not make mistakes in fantasy. It's always going to happen. We are playing a game where we are legitimately trying to do our best to project the future, predict the future. You're going to be wrong in that at times. It just matters how much you are calculated, how calculated you are when you do that. So I would say, you can make playoffs for the decades. I have been in a dynasty league for 6 years now. It's one of my oldest ones. It's 6 years. I've been the one or I've been a top 3 seed in that league every single year for 6 years straight. 4 more years is a long time in that league. And I have a team that has been very good for 6 years because I had Josh Allen back in 2019. And it's been all the way till now that I have Josh Allen. But you get to a point where these players age out. I had Diggs. Diggs is still on my team. He's going to age out. I have Kittle. He's going to age out. I have CMC. He's going to age out. I'm trying to do my best to reposition myself to continue winning for the future without forcing myself not to, take advantage of the possibility of winning now. But sometimes you got to play this game, and it may take 1 year of retooling where you do miss the playoffs and you send a couple of older assets away a year early to recoup value so you don't have to wait, for the full rebuild to happen when you lose out on the value of the old guys. That's just kind of the name of the game. And you have to play it smart. You have to play it strategically. But I will say, making tons and tons of moves where you're really just trying to stay ahead of the curve is going to be the best way to do it. So I guess I can't really tell you how to keep making the playoffs for decades other than just say be savvy, be calculated, do what you got to do, stay ahead of the trends, because it's easier said than done. I agree with the Rams as a Hawks fan. I cannot be happy with our team until we beat the Rams. They makes sense. Puka, though, more than I... Jeez, man. Those guys are nice guys, dude. Who's your sleeper player that I should trade for who will win me a championship this year? That's a really good question. I think if I had to tell you to trade for somebody low risk that can win you your league, I think Ricky Pearsall is a player that I'm very interested in. It has been horrible news from him all year long about the injury this, injury that. I need him for that playoff stretch because this 49ers injury or their schedule during the playoffs is fantastic. And if he's the only guy that they can throw to, he's the only guy that they can throw to. Maybe you could throw in Juwan Jennings there too. The schedule applies to Juwan Jennings, and he's actually healthy and on the football field. So Pearsall, Jennings, those would be two guys that I'm looking at. I also really like Quinshon Judkins. He's not a sleeper by any means. But I like his rest of season schedule. It's hard to give you a guy that is a sleeper. I could give you undervalued guys, but sleepers are typically, not league winners. That's just kind of how the nature is of it. Sell his ass, Andrew. Jeez. Sell who? Sell who, man? But Fantasy says, do you think Naylor will be a good pickup for rest of season? I don't. I like Naylor, but at the end of the day, you have to compete with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and JJ McCarthy is playing like a first-year quarterback right now. It's inconsistent. He's not completing a ton of passes. He's playing like a rookie. And can the wide receiver 4 or the 4th receiving option be a good rest of season player for you? Probably not with a rookie quarterback. I traded for ETN and gave away Booty and a 27th third to make the playoffs. Is this a good trade? Yeah, I like that for you. I mean, I don't think that Booty's anybody that I'm losing sleep over if I trade him away. Competitive Edge says, trade tip number 1, attack your league mate's misfortune. When you have a chance to hold someone over a barrel because they had bad injury luck, make sure you cash in. That's exactly. Stay ahead of the curves. Take notice of your leagues. And, the market is only as good as you make it for the most part, so take advantage. Henry or Javonte rest of season for playoffs for real, for real. I'm going with, I think I'm going with Javonte rest of season, man. I like Henry's rest of season schedule, but Javonte is getting a larger workload, it feels like right now, especially when you account for the receiving. Is now a good time to sell Jettas in Dynasty or after the season or just hold? I won last year and I'm currently 8-2 and number 1 seed. If you're the number 1 seed, and you can move him for a JSN, a Jamar, or a Puka, I'll probably do it. But other than that, I'm just holding him and letting him score points and helping me win this year, and then you can talk about it in the offseason. So if I can get one of those other guys, Chase, Puka, or JSN, sure. If not them, just hold. Javonte or Kyron, and then Romer Pickens, leaning Pickens because of the matchup. I do have Pickens over Rome in my rankings, so I would go with Pickens as well. And then Javonte or Kyron, I have Javonte higher, so give me Javonte Williams. Flacco versus Pittsburgh, Rodgers versus Cincinnati, Stroud versus Tennessee, Penix versus Carolina, or Mac Jones versus Arizona. I would be going with, I have Flacco the highest. Give me Flacco. Traded Golden in London for Rice in an early first. I want to move that for HN. What can I add to force his hand? He seems interested. Traded Golden and London for Rice in an early first. Want to move that for HN. Okay, so you're wanting to move the early first for HN. I mean, I'm always willing as a contending roster, buying running back, which I'm assuming you're doing, because as a rebuilder, you're typically not buying running backs high. I'm always willing to throw in a late second. Fuck it, take this second. It's not a difference maker for the most part. Every once in a while you get lucky hitting on a late second round pick that becomes a difference maker for you. But most of the time you're drafting a Bashal Tootin there, a Caleb Johnson there, a guy like Trey Harris there. So take this this late second. It's enough that the other player is always like, ooh, he's throwing a second as well, and it'll probably push it over the edge. And I'm not going to lose sleep over that either. Judkins versus Baltimore or ETN versus the Chargers. Give me Judkins. Nolan says Dynasty Superflex. You got Olave or A.J. Brown as a contender. Still going Olave, right? Yeah, I think I'd rather still have Olave at this point in time. Safer floor right now and younger player. So I'm just going with Olave, man. BTJ in a reload team is a hold? I think so. Yeah, if you're reloading, I'm okay having the bad year from BTJ because quite honestly, the market isn't where you want it to be anyways with Brian Thomas to sell him. So if you were to sell him, maybe in the offseason, we get some positive news. Oh, it was a down year for BTJ, but do you remember his rookie year? Yep, now his value is increasing a little bit because in the offseason, the young guys, they just get pushed up the board naturally, and I can just naturally sell the young guys for a little bit more than I can right now in point scoring season. So yeah, I'm holding him in a reloading roster. Daniel Jones and James Cook or Baker and Josh Jacobs in a 6-point Superflex dynasty. I'm going with Baker and Josh Jacobs. I think Baker's the better quarterback, and I think Jacobs and Cook are somewhat similar. So yeah, I'm probably just going to do that. A-Rod says, I want to pick up Burrow as a stash, but I already have Dart and Stafford on my redraft team. Would have to cut somebody like Myers or Spears to do it. What are your thoughts? I have absolutely zero issues cutting a guy like Spears or cutting a guy like Myers if you want to pick up and stash. If it's super flex, absolutely. If not, there you go. So I think that's fine. Dart and Stafford are not bad bets for you to keep in a 1 QB league. Maybe it is worth it more to keep the player, but those players are not players that I foresee as being like league winners down the stretch for you, Myers or Spears. Seconds aren't great bets if your league lets you draft the whole second. Yeah. Okay, for the folks at home, I play in a league with CE. So I had 8 second-round picks last year, and I was trying to sell them. I was trying to sell second-round picks. Nobody in my league wanted to buy them. So what did I do? I drafted Cam Scadaboo. I drafted Jackson Dart. I drafted Matthew Golden. I drafted a couple other second-round rookies. And it works out. When you get to draft the whole round, you find the guys who hit. I also drafted some Caleb Johnsons, and I also drafted some Trey Harris's, I think. But, you know, when you draft a bunch of those picks, hitting on a Jackson Dart doesn't really matter when I miss. You know, when you miss on 4 or 5 guys in a second-round pick and you hit on Jackson Dart, it doesn't really matter anyways because now Jackson Dart's worth 2 firsts potentially in a league. So, I agree. HN and Trey Benson for an early 26 first and a late 27. I'm probably doing this in a retool, in a rebuild. Absolutely. I'm going to take the early first and move off of HN. Benson feels like a solid pick, but 2 firsts basically for HN. I'm good with it. If you can re-roll HN into a Jordan Tyson or re-roll HN into a Jeremiah Love, and then you turn Trey Benson into that late 27 first where it's a Cam Coleman or it's a guy like Dylan Raiola, or it's a guy like, you know, whoever it may be that you want to talk about in 2027, we're going to get some of these quarterbacks to go back. Dante Moore is probably going to be in that class. You're going to get guys like Ty Simpson who are, you know, debating on whether or not they want to go back in that class. We could have 5 first-round quarterbacks in 2027 by the time it's all said and done, plus all of the wide receivers we love with Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith. The class is going to be loaded, so absolutely, I'm down for that. Javonte or Rashee Rice rest of season? Give me Rashee. Team going into the playoffs, do we think my squad needs an upgraded running back to win it all? He says quarterback is Lamar and Hurts. I'll wait for the whole thing before we talk about it. Bob says May and Hurts, also pick up Judy, drop Keenan, thanks. I'm going to go with May over Hurts. And I think I would still rather have Keenan than Judy. All right, so it looks like they're slowly coming in. Lamar and Hurts, the quarterbacks. JSN, Puka, CD, Rice, Egbuka. Running backs are Cook, Dowdle, Harvey, Henderson, Hampton. And he says, what do we think of the squad, or do we need to upgrade at running back to win it all? I think your running back room's fine with Cook, Dowdle, Harvey, Henderson, Hampton. I think you're fine. Wide receiver room's obviously great. Running back or quarterback room is great. I think you know this is a great team too. This definitely is a team that has a lot to, you know, go in and win. So I don't think you need to make any moves, honestly, right now. One of my dynasty leagues already had a trade deadline pass this past week, and it just pisses me off. Yeah, I've heard the whole argument. You know, some people are like anti-trade deadlines. I'm for a trade deadline, but I think it should be later. And then I think trade should open up immediately after the fantasy football championship has ended, basically. Like, if people want to trade during the NFL playoffs because we're getting new information, absolutely make it happen. But I think for the short period of time where people are playing for a championship, 15, 16, 17, maybe no trades there. But I have no issues if you want to trade the other, 300 and what is that going to be, 330 something days of the year. If you want to trade all those other days, absolutely. But then some people would say, well, then why do you have a trade deadline at all? But I get it. I got offered Jonathan Taylor, Higgins, and Quentin Johnston for Rice, Jefferson, and Marks. PPR 12-team league. What do you think? My friends think it's fair, but I'm nervous. Taylor, Higgins, and QJ for Rice, Jefferson, and Marks. I would just rather have... I mean, if this is a redraft league, if it's a redraft league, I think I want Taylor, Higgins, and QJ. If it's a dynasty league, I want Rice, Jefferson, and Marks. But if it's a redraft league, I just want Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor to me is the fantasy football MVP. 12-man PPR, start who? 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. With Dart and Mahomes, you're going to play Mahomes right now. CMC... Jones, Walker, Benson, Pacheco, Brian Robinson. It's going to be CMC and it's going to be Jones probably. The 2 wide receivers of Olave, Diggs, Pierce, Jennings, Ayuk, Terry. It's going to be Olave and Diggs. And your tight end's going to be, you said Njoku and who? Waller. It's going to be Njoku. And then your flex to me is going to be probably Pierce. Excuse me. What's an appropriate price to tear down off of May to Dart? An early first? Probably an appropriate price. But if you're asking because you want to tear down from May to Dart in our league for an early first, I'm not doing that with you. I'll take Dart in the early first in my specific situation. Where do you watch NFL games on? I use Hulu Live Sports. Shit is useless, but Sunday Ticket being like $85 a month is crazy. Thinking about just using Stream East. I'm not here to tell you that that's a bad idea. I call me old. I have Cox. So I have cable. And I watch on NFL Plus, and then I connect my Cox to it so I can watch Red Zone on NFL Plus for $15 a month, and then I get to watch all of the national televised games as well. So everything that I watch is in the NFL Plus app, and I don't even pay for the Cox membership that much. So that's kind of what I do. I used to do YouTube TV, but YouTube TV is just ridiculously priced at this point. Like, it was supposed to be added as a service that would be the rebuttal to cable, and now cable is cheaper almost than YouTube TV streaming. 12-man, I got Kyron and Christian Watson for a late 26, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't mind it. Don't mind it at all. Team is a contender. Yeah, I think that's fine. Where are we at? You have cable? Goddamn boomer. Yeah, my mom has cable, and I log into her cable. Yeah, that's what I do. If she's going to pay for it, I'm going to type in the password on my goddamn NFL Plus app. So, yeah. I give her a little bit of money for it, but I don't pay for the whole damn thing. At least wait till after Thanksgiving for the deadline. Week 10 is nuts. I agree with that. What do you think about Judy? I want to trade him away. I would definitely be trading him away. I don't think he's that great of a player. Between Bo and Caleb, which one would you rather try to down tier from in a Dynasty Super Flex? I think I would rather try and... I mean, honestly, it's going to depend on your league. If your league values Bo more, I'm down tiering Bo. If your league values Caleb more, I'm down tiering Caleb. Whoever's the most expensive, I'm going to down tier them, because I do think that both of these guys are fairly similar as far as Dynasty assets go right now. Best uniforms in the NFL, and why did you pick the Vikings? Best uniforms in the NFL. I don't know. Some of my favorite uniforms in the NFL are, I like all of the throwback ones that they've been doing recently. Those throwback Dolphins ones are dope. I like the throwback Vikings ones. That's not like the bright purple. It's like a matte purple. And then I also like the Broncos throwbacks with the blue helmets and the bright orange. I think those are all sick uniforms. The Chargers have some dope uniforms too, but why did I choose the Vikings? No real rhyme or reason. When I was a kid, I was a Lakers fan. I'm still a Lakers fan, but when I was a kid, I was a Lakers fan. My whole room was purple and yellow. I started watching football. Adrian Peterson was a monster, and my room was purple and yellow, so it was easy to put Adrian Peterson stuff in the bedroom. And yeah, I just became a Vikings fan because of the color coordination with my basketball team and Adrian Peterson. Pretty worth dropping if I have Daniel Jones rest of season. Probably. Sadly, I'm 8-2. In first place by 3 games, bro, but sadly my players are starting to drop crazy. I lost Daniels, had to move to Darnold, lost Kraft, had to move to Kincaid, now I lost Dobbins. It's tough, but those who, battle through the attrition in fantasy football, those are the guys that end up winning. So keep staying active on the waivers, do what you got to do, and there you go. Puka, Jason, and Kyron carrying the fuck out of me. I mean, with those guys, you're going to be pretty solid. Please send trade for a tier down. No, thank you. What's Penix, Dak, and Jamos worth? Well, I was thinking of trading them, one of them, or 2 for picks, or an RB. I have Lamar, Joe Burrow, Penix, and Dak. It's tough to tell you if you're going to be trading them. The guy that I probably would trade would be... You have Lamar and Joe Burrow. I feel like you trade Dak. He's probably going to be the one that gives you the most. And then JMO if you're going to trade the other one. But Dak probably. And I'm trying to get a mid-first at minimum, I think, for Dak Prescott. And I'm trying to send him to a contender. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Nervous, though, because I don't know if I can win my championship. I have Jason, Puka, and Kyron, but the rest of my roster is pretty mid. Just keep battling through the attrition, man. That's all I can tell you to do right now. Who are the wide receivers that you would send a late second for on a contender? Late second for, let's see. Not opposed to trading a late second for Alec Pierce on a contender. Not opposed to trading a late second for a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson, potentially on a contender. A Deebo Samuel maybe on a contender. A Stephon Diggs on a contender. Juwan Jennings is definitely a player you could look at as a contender. Those would probably be some guys that come to mind right away. Jaden Reed maybe coming back from the injury would be interesting. DJ Moore, if you could make that happen. But some of those guys are probably going to be a little bit more expensive than that. Andrew says he watches Cox. COX, man. Relax. MK says, thoughts on flexing Jaden Higgins over JCM in Miami? I think I'd probably rather still play JCM. See you later, Insidious. Appreciate you being here, man. NFL Plus, for me, I like the red zone. I like it. That's what I'm saying, man. NFL Plus is probably the best decision that you can make as a football fan if you want to get the most bang for your buck. It's very smart of the NFL to give you a very cheap option to watch red zone on. Traded Nico Collins for Bucky 2 weeks ago, and I am fully regretting it. Do you think it could work out, or he's done? I traded for Bucky Irving 2 weeks ago as well. A little bit slightly regretting it, but I still have hope that it can get in and play, but it hasn't been great so far. HN Worth's probably first plus, 2 firsts potentially, I think, for the right team. Ravens, Falcons, or Pats defense this week. Drop Pinheiro for Cam Little or Tyler Fruity Loops. Let's see. Defense. And then I'm going to try and speed through the rest of these questions, man, because we are at the hour mark, and we usually only go till about 9. So I'm going to try and speed through. I got the Pats defense the highest in my ranking. So give me the Patriots. And then do you drop Pinheiro for Little or Tyler Loop? You can drop Pinheiro. If I dropped any of them, it's probably going to be for Tyler Loop. Which ones do you like this week? Ravens, Green Bay, Bears, or Falcons? I have the Ravens the highest. The Ravens is the highest. Would you trade T-Law for Stroud, Dynasty Superflex? Yeah, I believe in Stroud more than I believe in T-Law. Best uniforms of the Broncos throwback. They were in my list, man. So hyped for my Seahawks versus the Rams. Who do you got in that game? I got the Rams, man. Sorry to, poo-poo on your parade, but y'all are playing some good football, but I got the Rams in that one. Have the number 1 waiver wire this week, and I need a running back too. I have Hurts, Puka, St. Brown, Rice, Javonte Williams. Where's the other part of this question? I don't know where the other part of the question is. Frank says, LBJ, the greatest Laker ever. In your goddamn wet dreams, Frank. Mostly says, would you trade Saquon for Javonte in an early second? Yeah, I think I would. I think I'd rather just pivot and go to Javonte at this point. Dynasty 8-2. QBs are Kyler, Brissett, Flacco, Jaden, Geno. Do I stay put with these guys with Burrow, Prop coming back, and Jaden Prop not? Tear down from Jaden, move a second for Stafford type. Honestly, I don't think Jaden's done for the year. The news that they got seemed to be the best possible news that they could have. I'm not tearing off of Jaden, but I definitely would be willing to move a second for a Stafford type if you want the QB play. My kid wants to know who he should replace Daniel Jones with on his bye week, Brissett or Mariota. Thanks. It's going to be Mariota for me. Mariota. Tet or Marv this week. I have... Where is he? I have Marv higher. Josh Jacob and Trey Benson for an early first and Vidal. Give me Josh Jacob and Trey Benson pretty easily, I think, as a contender. If I'm not contending, I'll take the early first, but I would rather just take Benson and Vidal out of the deal, or make Vidal a wide receiver of some sort, or maybe make him a second-round pick of some sort, a third-round pick. I don't care, but yeah, I don't want Vidal if it's a rebuild. If I'm contending, I just want Josh Jacobs. Go to 12. I need the help. I can't do it, dude. I can't do it. What did I just do? There you go. Is trading Dak and JMO for Bucky and Dynasty a fair trade? One QB, probably. In a super flex, I probably would rather have Dak and JMO. Where do you have Judkins versus Hendo in Dynasty right now? I have Judkins higher than Henderson, but not by a lot. Not by a lot. Monongai is a good buy for next year. Do you think Swift will stay in Chicago? I think he will potentially stay in Chicago. Here's the thing. If they don't retain Swift, I think the Bears will be in on trying to go get a Jeremiah Love or a running back in the class that's going to be a little bit more juicy than a guy like Monongai. And I say juicy with like athleticism being the terminology that I'm talking about. So Monongai's a fine player. I think they really want to replicate what Ben Johnson did in Detroit, and Monongai profiles as the David Montgomery. So if you like David Montgomery, I think that's a fine buy. Do you think Javonte gets re-signed? He's earned it. He's earned it. He's going to get re-signed by this Dallas Cowboys team, I think. So should be their long-term running back, I think. At least long-term in like a 2 or 3 year window. I think he's earned probably a 2-year deal, 3-year deal. Does T-Law plus a 26 mid-second get to Stroud? Maybe. And if it does, I'd rather just have Stroud. So there you have it, folks. All right, like I said, I was only going to go for an hour. It's 9:07 here on the East Coast, so we are going to wrap this one up. I am going to remind you, folks, if you do want to support the stream, the best way to do it is to hit the like button. We're at 22 likes right now. If we could get to 25 by the time this is over, that would be great. But if you want to go above and beyond and you've never played on Underdog, new customers who use promo code LEAGUEFFB and they play $5, they get $100 in bonus funds. So that's the best way to support this show. Other than that, I have nothing else for you guys today. So make sure you guys subscribe, comment, like the stream, do all that good stuff. Week 11 running back and wide receiver rankings on the channel tomorrow. But other than that, I'll see you on the next one. Until then, peace out. See you later.